10th of January it is, wherever you're watching from East Africa and around the world. This is Citizen News at 1. I'm Jan2014. Now, the South Sudan crisis peace talks have today entered a crucial but sensitive stage, with the warring factions deliberating on draft proposals on cessation of hostilities. The two chief mediators, Lazarus Sumbeyo and Seyum Mesfin, have drafted proposals on how the bloodletting in South Sudan can be stopped, and given them to the two factions to separately study them and submit their findings before a face-to-face session can be convened this afternoon. Sources in the mediation teams indicate that there was a likelihood that an agreement on cessation of hostilities could be signed today to set in motion the process of finding a political solution to the turmoil in South Sudan. Francis Gashuri is in Addis Ababa and now joins us with more details.
A very good afternoon to you, and indeed from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. No white smoke as yet from the Sheraton Addis Hotel, where the peace talk over the South Sudan crisis are being held. However, there is still some hope that by the end of today, the warring factions may agree to sign a ceasefire agreement and end hostilities in the South Sudan region. And for now, what is happening is that the mediation team led by the two co-mediators appointed by IGAD, that is General Retired Lazaro Sumbeyo and Seyum Mesfin, have drafted proposals on cessation of hostilities and given the proposals to the two warring factions, that is one led by Dr. Riek Machar and the other government team that is supporting President Salva Kiir. The two teams, on one hand, are Nial Deng Nial representing the government, and General Taban Deng representing Dr. Machar's team, have been given the proposals on cessation of hostilities, and basically they have been told by the mediators to go and discuss with their teams, their respective teams, and formulate their responses to the draft proposals and submit their proposals to the mediation team. And later on, the mediation team will convene a joint session, a face-to-face session between the two warring factions, and iron out the issues that they may have with the draft proposals. And if they are going to agree, then by the end of the day, they will sign that agreement on cessation of hostilities. And this will then pave the way for establishment of talks on a political solution to the South Sudan crisis.
Bado ni magumu kidogo, wameshakutana ana kwa ana, lakini mambo ambaye tuko sasa ni yale ambayo wametuambia. Tulimba hao karatasi yetu, wakalete yao, na sasa tumefika mahali ambaye tumetengeneza tu karatasi moja. Ni mambo tu ambaye maneno moja moja ambaye lazima tuyamalize, na mkinipa nafasi nitaenda kumaliza.
And the two parties are agreeing that the situation in South Sudan is worrying, and they want a quick solution to the situation so that the bloodletting can be stopped and humanitarian assistance can be supplied to the thousands of victims of these clashes in South Sudan. However, as we speak now, there is still violence in various parts of South Sudan, and this, according to the two teams, is worrying, and they want the situation dealt with as soon as possible. However, cessation of hostilities, release of the 12 political detainees, and the removal of the troops that have been deployed to South Sudan from Uganda remain the three key sticky issues in the South Sudan crisis. And the mediation team is hoping that by the end of today they will have dealt with the first issue, that is cessation of hostilities, and thereafter they will deal with the two other issues and eventually see whether they can be able to find a lasting solution to the South Sudan crisis. That's all for now. My name is Francis Gashuri, reporting for Citizen TV from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Many thanks indeed, Francis Gashuri, for that report. Meanwhile, South Sudan government forces pressed with an offensive to wrestle back South Sudan's main oil hub of Bentiu from rebel forces, as the United States urged both sides in the deadly conflict to sign an agreement to cease hostilities immediately.
The worst fighting, which erupted, centered around Bentiu, where forces loyal to former Vice President Riek Machar have been holding off the army of President Salva Kiir, leaving the town ransacked and emptied of its civilian population. South Sudanese rebels rejected the government plan on Wednesday to end a dispute over detainees and unblock peace talks aimed at halting the conflict that has killed at least 1,000 people. The government proposed to shift the peace talks to the United Nations compound in Juba, enabling the 11 detainees to attend the negotiations during the day and return to custody in the evening. The UN, which shelters more than 8,000 people at its Bentiu compound, said its mission in South Sudan had cut off military links with the government and was ready to fend off any attack. The warring sides met face-to-face for the first time on Tuesday in Addis Ababa in a bid to agree a ceasefire, but faced new delays after Kiir refused a rebel demand to release 11 detainees who were arrested last year of an alleged coup plot. 3 weeks of fighting along ethnic fault lines has pitted President Salva Kiir's SPLA government forces against the rebels loyal to former Vice President Riek Machar and brought the oil exportation nation close to civil war. More than 200,000 people have been displaced by the fighting. Brenda Cheriot, Citizen at 1.
Now back home, the second phase of police vetting entered the fourth day with the Commandant of the Kenya Police Air Wing, Roger Smbithi, put on the spot to explain the high turnover at the police air wing. The source of his wealth also dominated the session. The Commission sought to know what measures the Commandant has taken to ensure the safety of police aircrafts in light of 3 accidents that have left several officers and senior government officers dead, including former Internal Security Minister George Saitoti.
What the basic...
As the Commandant of the Kenya Police Air Wing, is there evidence on air accident reports? How have you been going about these reports, which has always been pointing out the weakest links in terms of what needs to be done about improving the Kenya Police Air Wing?
That is one area we are normally having a very big problem in getting those reports, because we are the people who are supposed to be implementing these reports. And these reports, if they don't filter to us, then there is no way we can officially implement these things.
Can you be able to tell this panel what efforts have you been able to take as the Commandant of the Kenya Police Air Wing in respect to this issue of not getting the reports?
The last one, which was the Gong crash, the whole exercise was concluded, and once it was handed over to the authorities, that was the end of it. Nothing filtered to the air wing. I will say I've not made an effort to request for those reports.
Your name came up in the Kalpanarawal report. Could you give us a general view of the extent to which that maintenance is a key function, you know, at the air?
There was a lot of information which was getting into the Commission to the fact that the airworthiness of that aircraft was not up to the required standard. I'm the one who had flown that aircraft the most hours in that air wing. I was converting other pilots into it, and what I can say is that aircraft was serviceable to the time it took off from Wilson Airport, and there was no complaint.
Within a period of less than 15 days, you are deposited about 1 million. How do you connect this flow with the business which you are doing?
As indicated in my